Hey guys, my name is Octoman and today I'm going to show you how to create a healing particle system. That means I'm going to show you what I mean. This swirling particles and the rotating stuff on the ground and some stars growing up. So this is what we are going to build. We don't build the buttons, we don't build the cooldown stuff, we just build that particle system. And yeah, let's get started. So at first I'm going to create a new scene, I would say, so I can just do everything in here. So what I need first is a 3D object, which is going to be my player, and I can also rename this one as player cube or whatever. And under that player, or your main character, basically you want to stick all that particle systems and all that effects and so on under that or under your in the hierarchy under that your main character, or actually any character you who can use that particle effect or system. I need to place this one 0.5 over, because the pivot point of the cube is in the middle, and a cube is 1 unit big, so I need to increase the size, the position of that cube, but that is nothing important. What I want to go over at first, I want a new, or actually another 3D object, which is going to be a plane or a quad. A plane has the problem that it has too many polygons, or actually triangles, so I go over and choose a quad. This quad is, as you can see, only has 2 triangles, and this is not that render intensive and don't need that much CPU. And on this quad I want to make my healing circle, which is rotating under or around the middle of my cube or my player. So at first I need to rotate that quad by wrong axis, on the x-axis by 90, and I drag this one down under that cube, so the position needs to be at minus 0.5. The next thing is I need to scale this one down out a bit, just for now. And now I go into my textures folder, and in here I have a material, or actually a texture done already. You can use Photoshop, GIMP, and whatever program you can use, which can produce alpha channel maps, so a TGA format, PNG or GIF, even PSD are working. And what you need to go over is, once you imported your circle, you go over from the default as texture type, texture. You need to go over to Sprite 2D and UI, and to single as a sprite mode. You can also maybe go and use texture atlas. I'm not sure about this. And what you want is the pivot point needs to be into the center. In the sprite editor, you maybe can just cut sides off and again place the center wherever it has to be, if it's not around or good enough or whatever, and you can slice and trim that stuff around to your needs. As you can see, mine is not 100% perfect, but it doesn't really matter for now. I just want to show you how that works. The next thing is you go into your materials folder and create a new material, and this material contains the maps and stuff, or actually will get the 2D information. And this material is going to be my, let me call this one Healing Alpha. I already have a material on here, so let me just delete this one. I use my Healing Alpha, and in here I go over and go and click that small point and use Healing Alpha as my map for this. And then I go to shader, choose particle shader, and use alpha blended. As you now can see, every alpha is away and only the white stuff is there. So what I go and do next is I choose that material and drag this over to the quad. And now you can see instantly everything is at the right spot. The next thing is you can color that map by using tint color over here. And I want mine to be cyan. So as you can see, you can choose any color. You can use black for some other effects and so on. And programming wise, you can later on also use the same circle for other things. As you can see, I written some text inside, healing effect, and this will go over and rotate later on. The next thing is I want to create the first particle system under that quad, or basically on that quad. So this quad needs to be renamed to healing spell. This is my woe spell will be holded under the quad. All four different particle systems which I'm going to use will be under that quad, because the quad will later on rotate. So the next, as I said, a particle system creates this one. As you can see, the direction is down. So I need at first to change the direction to up. So I use rotation of the y-axis into 180. Z can be 0, minus 360 is about the same. So let's go to the shape. And as you can see, the cone is too big. And also I don't need the cone. I actually don't need any shape. I just need a stream. A particle stream from the bottom to the top. So that's it what I want. I also don't want that be too long, so I go over and decrease the lifetime by to 1. I can also choose a bit more later on if I need to, but not for now. The next thing is I want that to be I don't want that gaps inside of that, so I go to the emission panel and say let's emit for now 150 particles at the same time. The next thing is I want that to be more thin, so the size actually is too big. So I go over here and test the nice size, maybe 0.3 is okay. And I want to change the size over lifetime so it thins out at the top. So go over to size over lifetime, activate, open, and there's a curve. And in that curve, we start with a size of 1, and we want to decrease this 1 at the end to 0. So it's going to be like spiky. Also, since the curve is too curvy for that what I want more a cone, I just use the flat prefab, or whatever it's called in here. So it's just a flat fall off. Next thing, I move that one outside, maybe on the outer circle somewhere nearby, and just place it. So basically this one is done. So we go over to the color and change this one to cyan too. You can use RGB or hex color values to copy and paste them all over, or just make it by hand. It doesn't really matter for me basically. And so the first stream is done. The next thing is to help things out with all that streaming setup. We need to go into the animation tab actually, or I need to make a small rotation script which is keeping the circle rotating, that I can see how the stream is going, or what the stream is actually going to do when I rotate the healing spell thing. Basically, what you cannot see what is going to happen actually when you are just selecting the healing spell, so you won't see the effect I am after. Now you can see I'm not 100% sure if this is the right way, but now you can see if I would rotate this healing circle, the particle system will stay at the same spot. So what we need to go over is we need to change the particle system's simulation space. So currently it's set to local, and we go over and set this one to world. What is going to happen is when it's not greatly seen right now. When you move the circle fast, the particles are not going up the whole time, so they are looking like they're swirling when you just move the plane. So let's get back to 0, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So I don't want to script that animation right now, so I better go over and just finish the particle system. So make sure simulation space is world. Also, later on we are going to disable looping and the duration will be decreased, but for now we just leave them alone. And we go to the circle itself, go to Window, Animation. In that I'm going to create a new animation clip, and this animation clip I go to Assets, Animations. I already have a healing spell animation inside, so I call this one New Healing Spell. You can call this one just Healing Spell. And here we got the properties for all children under that healing spell. Currently I just have the first particle system, which is particle stream 1. Later on there will be a second one on the other side, but for now I just want to show you what's going to happen. And what I want to animate right now is the rotation of the circle. The duration I plan to plan to be that animation. How long this is going to be, I plan to use 2 seconds. So I drag the slider to 2, and I go over and add a property of transform rotation. This property will be set like that. There's no rotation actually inside. Everything is still, but in here I want to change the y-axis rotation to 1440. That means I make several rotations in that 2 seconds. At least it should be four rotations in 2 seconds. So let's get started and check how it looks. Now you can see the particle system is emitting in the world space, and it looks like a swirl. This is only working when it's in world simulation space. In local animation space, this wouldn't work like that. I'm going to show you this one pretty quick. Go to local. And now you can see this is a local animation space. It just goes straight up. But since we want the swirl effect, we need to check world simulation space. And we get that swirl. That's pretty nice, pretty easily done just by a rotating quad, because it's linked to that one. Since that animation does not contain everything we need, I go over and copy that particle stream. So just select this one and press Ctrl D on your keyboard. Rename this one properly. And now drag this one over to the other side. As you can see, as I move this around, the particle system is in the world space. Maybe on that position. So if I play this one once again, we have that swirl effect. You can use more or less. You can use 4 instead of 2, but I think 2 are pretty nicely done. As you can see, there are a lot of gaps in between that streams. I want to go over and change the emission rate to 200 instead of 150, just to close the gaps. Make sure you hit or do that on both. particle streams. And now you can see only at the topper part it's going to have bigger gaps. I also go over and change my main camera to a 45 angle, 45 degree angle that I can see. Give me a second. That I can see the result maybe better later on. Not really. Maybe over here. So if I play this one once again, it looks pretty decent. If the animation speed is too fast and it's doing too much rotations in that 2 seconds of the spell itself, you can just go over and decrease the animation speed in the animation window over here. Okay, so what we want to do next is we want some glittering on the floor. So I go and create another particle system, and I call this one, I don't know, foot glitter or something like that. I also need to go over and change the rotation again. Also this one set to 0. This will have the shape of a cone. And let's go a bit closer. So this cone is going to have no angle, just a smaller radius, like about the same as the healing circle is. Maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. You decide on your own. Maybe 0.58. So it will almost fit that healing circle. What I want is I want to emit some more of that, but I want the lifetime to be super small, maybe something around 0.2, maybe something like this. Also, the duration is not longer than the lifetime, so basically it doesn't really matter. And maybe we need some more. Or maybe go for 100. I don't know. Also go over and change the color again to the same or almost the same, or maybe another one. Depends on what you want. Maybe something like that. And what I also want is in my healing spell some small stars growing up and fading out. So again, I create another particle system under this one. I just call this one stars. Oops, one typo. Stars. Again, the rotation to 180. The shape again is a cone with no angle, with a radius of 0.45 maybe. And in here I go over and choose my star particle. I also made the same material I did the same with that alpha particle. So you can see there's just a star. The particles are still alpha blended, so the material is about the same. So go in the stars back again, go to renderer over there, and in here drag the stars in the material channel. What you want to make sure is that the billboard is active, that receive shadows is off, cast shadows is off, because basically you don't need that. Also blend probes might be off. So the size is too big, so let's go and change the size to a bit smaller, maybe something like maybe like this. And in the end, since the duration is too long, or actually the lifetime is too long, I'm going over and decrease this to 1, 2. And what I want is, I want to fade out the stars after, after time. So I change color by speed. Click the white bar. Over here in the top are alpha values. I'm going to decrease alpha value to 0, and I drag over the color to maybe 90%, and after that 90% all the stars will fade out. Oh, this was the wrong panel. Let me just delete this one once again. I'll just ignore this. I just disabled it. Was the wrong one. I need color over lifetime. This one. Again, go to the white one, choose alpha to 0, and drag that maybe to 80 or 90%. Let's go to 80. So as you can see, they fade out when they reach the top. So let's see how this one is looking in full. As you can see, the stars are also rotating in that world space. They're growing up and disappearing in the top. The circle is rotating and the foot glitter is also doing its job. And what we want to do now is all the programming stuff, which isn't too big. Also the animation stuff needs to be set right. So at first, again, we go to the animation tab, and now you can see we don't have all the properties. We just have the rotating circle. So what we want is, once the animation is going to play, we want to start the particle streams, the foot glitter, and the stars. So go to Add Property. I better enable the record button. Add the particle stream over here and set or use is active. Another property, go to the second particle stream and set this one. Add the foot glitter is active and add the stars is active. That's everything for now. What I also want is, I want to make sure that the quad is the quad rendering is going to be manipulated by transparency. So I go over to the mesh renderer component. At first I can enable and disable that renderer at any time, basically when it's just not visible. So I add this property, or I can add this anyhow. And what I also want to, what the hell, again, why can't I add this? Give me just a second. Okay, that's weird. Maybe it's because I'm not directly on this. So let's try again. Okay, that's really weird. Give me a second to fix this. Okay, to make this work, I need to use a record button. I really don't know why it is so go into the renderer, and as you can see, I cannot add this one since I can't see. Oh, there are the pluses. Okay, I just need to scroll with that slider over there. So what I want is, I want to enable and disable it at times, and I want to use tint color of the material of that quad. So now it's just testing around. So basically I want to make sure that the circle is start fading in and rotate, or basically it can start rotate at the spot, but maybe here I just want to see that healing spell or that healing quad. So I go over and open the tint color, and there is the set alpha. The set alpha should be here at full, as you can see, full color, so at 1. Then, oh no, it should be at 0 over there, at 0. Then I go here and set this one to 1. So you can see it. Don't forget to make sure that this needs to be, the record button needs to be enabled. Then go to the end, and maybe at 130 or 120, I set another one to 1, and I want this to fade out until the end. Sometimes it happens that you can have, or that you will have, weird curves. So it might not do what it has to do. So maybe it doesn't work properly. So double check everything, of course. I think I will just keep it at 0.1, 0.5 at this point, and 0.5 at this point too. So it's not that bright. So if you want to make it brighter, just increase the alpha. But I think 0.5 is pretty nice for this. So if I play this, as you, if I play that animation, it will repeat, of course. So it will fade in and fade out over time. Maybe it's too easy to see, but trust me, this is working pretty good. So the next thing is I can enable and disable the mesh renderer 1 point before actually everything starts. So I can say, okay, at this point the mesh renderer of this component is disabled, and 1 frame after this one I go and enable this one. Same in the end. So once it's almost invisible, or actually here it is already almost invisible, I just can go and use 1 frame above and disable. Oh no, it's enabled in here, but I disable it in there. So it will disable in the last spot. So the next thing is I want all that particles at the right time enabled. So I go 1 frame here. And they are all enabled. So I need to click them all once so I get keyframes. And in here I want to all of them disabled. So at this point all are enabled. And at this point are all enabled too. But in the end I want them all disabled. So you won't ever see them in the scene. No matter what's about the healing spell itself. So you can see they're all inactive right now. They're grayed out. What else? Basically this should be it for everything and for now. So what we want right now is to test this one properly. We need a button or something which can activate all that animation stuff. So let me close this window. The animation for now is set, and it's also active inside of here. It's clip count 1. So make sure everything is active. And then we go over to the animator, and this is a new healing spell animation window stuff. What we need is to make everything work properly is we need another, or basically a transition between 2 states. This is the pure animation or the done animation, and what we also need is we need another empty state, or basically it's not empty, we need another state where we idle. So before we activate anything we need to go into idle and need to set all that informations again. So we go over, select the healing spell again, so the quad in it, go to window again, animation, and we go over and create a new clip. We call this one, don't make sure they are all in the right folder, and I call this one new healing spell idle. Call it whatever you like, just make sure that you know what you're going to get. And we set some properties in here. So the first one again is a transform rotation property. And this next one is a mesh renderer enable component. The next thing is the mesh renderer alpha color or tint color. Also, we take all is active particle streams of stream 1 and 2, and of course of the glitter and of the stars. So now we have all almost set up. So in here there will be no rotation. We delete all the last frames or all that keyframes at the end of the first second. So we just have the first frame. So there should happen or shouldn't happen anything. So there will be no rotation on the y-axis. The mesh render component is disabled. The tint color is of the alpha channel is at 0, so it's invisible. Even if it's deactivated, I still go over and do that. And I also deactivate all particle systems. That's it. So now close this one. And this new healing spell idle is going to be my default state. So I select, right click, select set as layer default state. And now we go and add two transitions. The first one is make a transition to the healing spell. And this transition needs to get triggered by a button or whatever. So I go over here and create a new trigger called is activated. You can use later on, let me just rename this a bit. Just activated. So if you go on the right side when you select the trigger again, the transition again, then you can add a new condition which is activated, which is the trigger we have just created, and leave that stuff alone. But disable has exit time. So we can call that instantly no matter where the idle state is. Even if it's not important, just leave it, just exit this one, just say it has no exit time. So that's it for that transition. And the other transition back to that state is this one will have no condition, but it has to have exit time. And we need to change the exit time stuff around a bit. That means we just drag that right arrow thing to the end to 100%, and we drag over the healing spell idle state back to that. So once we go back, we need to wait until the complete end, until the end of the whole animation, and then it will go over back to the idle state. Let's test this one out. At first we are in the idle state, we don't see anything, and once we trigger this one by selecting that small radio button, we get the animation, and after the animation time is ended, which is 2 seconds, everything disappears. So as you have seen, it just plopping, so it will just don't smoothly end, it just ends with one kick, and I don't want that. I want to avoid that, so I know the duration needs to be under 2 seconds. So I go in every particle system and decrease the duration time, and maybe also I go over and change the color over lifetime, so it will get transparent in the end. So at first, let's decrease the lifetime, or the duration actually, of the whole animation to 1.4. Also disable looping. Same with all the others. For the foot glitter, it has a small duration already, but we don't want that to loop. I'm not sure, we maybe need that loop. Stars about the same, duration of 1.4, don't loop. Maybe we need that to loop again. So let's test this one out. I trigger this one, everything works, the foot glitter and the stars. Yeah, that looks pretty okay. The foot glitter and the stars may need to disable looping too. Let's check this one out again. Activate. This looks pretty soft. So as you can see, it ends to do anything and will disable over there. Maybe the duration is a bit too long, but basically you know what I mean. So, and the last part is, how can we just activate that trigger which is actually activating basically that that animation. That's pretty simple. We need to create a new C# or basically a script. You can use C# or whatever. Also use Java, but I don't use that because I don't have any idea of that. I have a spells how shall I say, a spell script already, so I need to create a new one which is called Spell Manager. Yeah, that's a good name. Spell Manager. So if you have many spells, or maybe at least 2 of course, then you can use a Spell Manager script to handle all the spells by buttons or by whatever you need. And this is pretty easily done and pretty quick to do, of course. We just need to get the spell's animation component and activate and deactivate the states. So at first we go over and grab all game objects which handling all that animations. In this case it is a small quad. So let's see. Once it's loaded we can start. So there is the spell manager. What we don't need is start and update. We just write our own function. So at first we need a public. At first I go over and use I need game objects, but since I want maybe later on get or use more array more spells, I go over and create an array of spells, or basically an array of game objects, and I call them spells. So I can store a lot or as many spells I want and can handle them with just one setup actually. So yeah, I have all that spells, and now I create a public function, public void, and in here it's called cast spell. So, and in here, in that cast spell, I need to send an integer, and this integer will basically be the array of the spell which is called. So int and I don't know, current spell. No, just like that. So I send the number of the array index and send this one inside that function, so I can use this instantly. So no matter which is active, on which button I'm going to press, and which spell ever it is going to get selected, will be sent inside of that. So what we want is, we want to take the game object and find the animation component on that, whatever the game object is. So spells dot, and in here we want to get the component. Let's see. Do I miss something? Give me just a second. Yeah, sure, I missed something. Well, since spells is an array, I need to actually take the array, and the array is going to be car spell, so the sended index, And in here we can get the component of the game object, or basically of the animation component or animator component, animator. And this one can be set to any state. We need that brackets. We can use any of that states we need to set and activate or deactivate them. And in here we want to set a trigger, which is this, and then we need the name of the trigger, which is in this case it's an integer ID or the string name of the trigger, and the trigger name was activated, as you may remember from some seconds ago, which is in here, activated. So make sure it's really you have no typos. So this is important. And we want we just want to set the trigger activated. We just want to use this trigger once we call this function. Basically this should be it. So I'm going to build this one pretty quick and make sure everything is fine. There we go, build successful, so everything should work. So what can I do with all that stuff right now? Well, I can just take that spell manager and press or put this anywhere. For now I just take my player cube and drag the spell manager on that. So the spell manager will handle all the spells the player can use, or actually everything can be used by this. And this is going to have a size of 1, so we can drag in one game object, which is our healing spell, and drags it in element 0. Every other spell you want to go over or do later on, like power-ups and so on and so forth, you can drag them all inside of that and use them according to whatever you need. Since we are in Unity 5, I can just easily set up a canvas. UI, don't select anything. UI, canvas. I set this one towards not towards space, so the screen space camera, and I use the main camera for this one. Drag this in here. What I want to go over is I want to make sure that I can make a button. The plane distance for me is a bit too big, so you can see this one is a bit better, and it's looking in the right direction, and everything should work fine. Nothing else with the camera or the canvas, but I want to create a button inside of the canvas. So go in and right click canvas UI and create a button, and this button is just my heal button. So go over and rename it properly. Heal button, so you know what you are doing. Oh, this didn't take place. Again, heal button, I press enter to make sure that is working. And here we got just type in heal, and in 2D mode it might look a bit weird or stretched, as you can see, because of the camera. It is already at 45 degrees, set to 45 degrees. So go over and somehow, oh yeah, maybe it's about the global. Yeah. So go to local mode and place it where you need, and in 2D mode it should be, yeah, there we go, there's a scrollable. Okay, so we can place a button wherever we want in the scene. Even in depth it is working too, but it's not important right now. The rect transform is nothing what we care about. We just want the on-click events for that button. So what we can do right now is we can go over and select the plus on that button and add the player cube to that button. And that player cube holds the script called spell manager. And in here we have the public function called cast spell integer. So since the healing spell is an integer of 0 because it's at the element 0 in here, we can just leave this alone. If you have 3 or more, just make sure that you take the right number inside of all your spells. So back to the heal button. When we are clicking that button, we are going to activate the spell. So let's test this one out. Everything is disabled, and now I click the heal button and healing is done. Pretty quick, pretty simple. What you want to go over in your healing itself is you want to make sure that you have a cooldown, as I have showed you before. Then when you click this one several times, even the trigger can trigger 2 times in a row. So also you want to cap your healing on the player itself. So this is everything I wanted to cover in this tutorial. So you have a nice swirling heal effect on your character. So no matter where you move your character, the healing spell will be always on the character itself. Also, you might want to go over and stop the player moving when using the healing spell. Otherwise, when you move and at the same time call the spell, then you might get some weird effects you don't want because of the world emitting stuff in the world space, simulation space. I'm going to demonstrate this pretty quick what I mean, so you can see what it's all about. So I go in my scripts folder. I have a small player movement script in here, nothing special. Just make sure, or I can just move around with my character, or I don't, because I don't have a rigid body component. So let me add this one pretty quick. Physics, rigid body, no gravity. Okay, and again. So I can now move my cube around. This mesh collider can be the mesh collider arrow you get in here is a convex one of the healing spell. So make sure you just delete that. Remove component. So this is nothing what we need. So there we go. So I can walk around with the cube, and once I click the healing spell, as you can see, it is swirling around, but it's not looking nice. So make sure that once you enable any of your spells, that the player is not moving at that time, or use other healing or buffing spells or whatever needs you are. So that's everything I wanted to cover again. If you like that video, just don't forget to thumb it up and give me a comment if you have any questions about all that stuff. Feel free to ask questions about anything, and also send me requests if you have any. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and of course, if you like all my videos and you think about donation, there you have the possibility to do so. Go on my channel page. On the top right corner there's a PayPal button where you can send some donations to me. So thanks for watching. See you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.